You don't want to get on the ground with them, and you don't want to let them get up on you. A snake this size can probably lay about 40 or 50, and she'll lay every year. Oh, she's a good one. Definitely a lot's changed since y'all were here last, which is maybe, what, 2 years ago. I'm now doing guided hunts, offering all kind of different adventures and education for the general public to come along, see what I do, learn how to do it, and it's really been a good thing. I'm seeing a lot of the awareness we're spreading on social media. I'm seeing more and more city entities hiring me to come out and remove these invasive species, which is really what we need. More of the general public getting involved, you know, more people coming out for these python competitions and really out there for the right reasons, not leaving trash, not killing natives and things like that. You know, they're in it for the right reasons. We're also seeing the benefits in the ecosystem since the last time y'all were here. We've been really hitting these pythons hard, and we're starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel. We're seeing our native wildlife coming back. We're starting to see raccoons, otters, marsh rabbits, where before we didn't really see anything at all. The average size python we're catching is also smaller. Last time you guys were down here, I was mostly catching 10 to 12 footers. Now it's more 6 to 8 footers. Those smaller pythons, they do less damage, and you know, it really gives our wildlife, our native wildlife, a fighting chance. So the operation's expanded in a lot of ways. One of them is we're now training dogs. We've started snake road kennels where we're training different gun dogs, conservation dogs, and general obedience. I'm also now using Moose, my lead hog dog, to help me out in the field with pythons. He's successfully found a lot of pythons for me, and it's really groundbreaking and exciting stuff. Pythons is really just the tip of the iceberg in Florida. We're dealing with everything from big green iguanas, Mexican spiny tail iguanas, monitors, Egyptian geese, Muscovy ducks, all kind of different invasives, and every day it seems like a new battle. You know, the iguanas, I would say, are competing for the state's worst invasive right now, at least reptile invasive. The pythons are devastating our native wildlife, while the green iguanas, they do have negative effects on our wildlife, but mainly it's on our economy and our infrastructure. They dig these burrows everywhere, and they undermine sidewalks, seawalls, housing foundations. And I know the city of Davie alone just spent $1.7 million last year repairing damage from these iguanas. And that's, you know, that's money we don't have to spare. On top of that, they affect our native wildlife by getting aggressive and territorial with our native species. And they actually have been going in, taking over burrows, destroying nests of our burrowing owl and our gopher tortoise. Both of these species are threatened and protected here in Florida, already struggling, and the last thing we need is the pressure from these invasives. My favorite hunt myself is actually going and catching the hogs with my pack of dogs. And you know, the hogs are very destructive, not just in Florida, all across the United States. And especially out on ranches like this, where they're working ranches and they just absolutely destroy the ground, making it hard for you to travel around, for your animals to travel around. And they have large, really negative effects on our native wildlife and ecosystem. So anytime we're able to go out there, remove those, you know, we definitely get on it, and the dogs love it even more than me, so.
You see things here you don't see other places. The unique species, it's just unique. It's not like you know anywhere else in the U.S. I'm Jason Williams. Right now, my primary occupation is as an airboat tour captain. My training, though, is in forestry and wildlife biology. I am a certified wildlife biologist. I worked for the state of Florida for almost 10 years. Also worked for a consulting company, and I still do private land consulting. Primarily help people with their private lands alligator programs. If they want to become part of the alligator management program, they'll contact me. There's a program that works through the state that if you want to harvest alligators on your property, you're allowed to, but there's a process you go through. You have an application process, and then if you want to harvest gators, you can do a alligator population survey with a certified wildlife biologist, someone like myself, and the state will issue tags based on that survey. The gator population decline was most apparent in the 1960s, all the way back to the 1960s. It probably started happening before that, but by the 60s it was apparent that we have a decreasing gator population. The Endangered Species Act came to effect in the early 1970s, around 1973, and the alligators were placed on the endangered species list then, which gave them full protection, no harvesting whatsoever. And within a very short amount of time, the population had rebounded enough where the state had felt that they had to start a nuisance program, and then they started full statewide hunts in the late 80s. So it was remarkably quick that they came back into a strong position. The private lands alligator hunting program is very important, a very beneficial program for the state of Florida. One, it generates a lot of income for private landowners. The alligator, is an important species, keystone species in the state of Florida, and by allowing people to hunt them, it gives the alligator a value. They're able to legally remove problem animals that would eat a hunting dog, a calf. On a ranch, that's very important. The landowner now sees the alligator as something they can work with. They can manage it.
Big bulls kind of control the populations in the area, that once we do get those big bulls out, there's big bulls to get ready to replace them. I think what draws people to hunting alligators is because of how different it is. You're hunting essentially a dinosaur, and sometimes it's easier than others. Sometimes, they may just kind of be sitting in a cow pond and you're able to get a good shot on it, or you may be hunting them on public land and you may be on a big bull gator that's very smart, and it can be challenging. We've taken out numbers of groups where the whole night is a bunch of guys yelling at each other on the boat, getting splashed by water, and at the end of the night it's this big victory where we overcame this dragon. We were fighting for hours and hours and everyone's wore out, and it's cool. It's not necessarily a hunt you got to be real quiet on all the time, and definitely something a little different for people.
Well, they can be dangerous. You have the danger element. They live in a place that most other game animals don't live, into water. We're used to, all our game animals either have fur or feathers. They're prehistoric, practically a link to the dinosaurs. They're found in limited areas. You can't get them everywhere. Deer are everywhere, turkeys are everywhere. Gators, you have to come to specific areas, typically Florida, Louisiana, to get them.
Main thing I like about my job is it's always something different. Every week, I could be catching a big monitor lizard on the side of someone's house, or taking some folks out gator hunting, going to catch pythons, catching hogs. I never know what phone call I'm gonna get, and that's what I like. I get kind of bored easily, I guess. So, and it's really rewarding work. A lot of my jobs, people don't know what to do. They got this big scary animal or this big problem where it's destroying their property, and I'm able to give them some relief, and it's definitely rewarding work.